Today I'm going to teach you how to make this Valentine wreath on a Dollar Tree frame using the Roll Deco Mesh Method. Welcome to Stillwater's Wreath Designs. Come on in. Friends, if you are new to the Stillwater's channel, Stillwater's Wreath Designs is all about DIY wreath making tutorials. We've got new tutorials uploading every single week, so if you like that sort of thing, I would love for you to hit the subscribe button and join us. And for those of you that have been here with me for a while, I so appreciate you coming back. We're going to make today's Valentine's wreath on a 14-inch wire frame that I picked up from the Dollar Tree. You'll find a full supplies list for you below in the description of this video so that you can recreate this beauty if you'd like to do so. Of course, if you'd rather just purchase today's wreath, I'll leave an Etsy link for you below as well. Go ahead and plug in your hot glue gun. If you're new to wreath making, friends, this is what's called a wire wreath frame. We'll be using the Dollar Tree wire frame today, and the frame, if you can see, it's a little bit beveled on the front side. The back side is flat. You've got 4 rings, 1, 2, 3, and 4. You'll find crossbars all the way around the wreath to give that wreath stability, and the space between one crossbar and the next is what we call a section. We're going to do today's wreath using the Roll Deco Mesh Method. This is a really easy and cost-effective way to make a wreath. The first thing we need to do is build out our wreath base. And so I want you to grab a handful of standard 12-inch length pipe cleaners. You're going to need 18 in total. You'll want to grab some pipe cleaners that somewhat match in color to the theme of your wreath. And we're going to add 3 pipe cleaners per section. So pipe cleaner number 1 is going to go around rings 1 and 2 right in the center of those 2 crossbars. So I'm just going to run that underneath rings 1 and 2 right in the center there and give them a couple of tight twists and point those guys inwards. Then the next 2 pipe cleaners are going to go around rings 3 and 4, and they'll be pointing outwards. So we're going to center these as best we can. Not looking for perfection here, guys. No one's going to be measuring. And so the 3 pipe cleaners should look something like this in your first section. So the first pipe cleaner is in the center of your 2 crossbars around rings 1 and 2. And then the other 2 pipe cleaners will be around rings 3 and 4, also centered about a third of the way in between those 2 crossbars. We're going to repeat this same pattern in every single section all the way around our wire wreath frame, and I'll meet you back here. Once you've got all of your pipe cleaners added into the wire wreath frame, it should look something like this. So you should have 3 per each section. And the next step is to add a little dollop of glue where the pipe cleaners meet our wire frame, just to keep those guys from sliding around. I'm just going to add a dollop of glue on rings 2 and 3 where those pipe cleaners meet the frame. We don't need to glue both sides, one will do. I'm just running an inch bead of glue right on top of those pipe cleaners and our wire frame to anchor those guys down. And of course, I've put an old piece of cardboard underneath just to catch any glue drips. Once you've got all of your glue dollops added to those pipe cleaners, go ahead and set your wreath base off to the side to dry. The next thing we're going to do is prepare our sign. This sign also came from the Dollar Tree. It's just a 12-inch round, thin, heavy-duty cardboard sign. We're going to go ahead and cut off this hanger. We don't need that. And then I'm going to gently pop off that bow because I don't want that either. Just be real careful when you pop that off if you choose to do so, so that you don't harm your sign. And now I'm going to turn this guy over so that we can add a couple of mounting brackets. Friends, here is what a mounting bracket is. If you're new to them, they're basically just little plastic adhesive squares. This is the top and this is the bottom side. And they're great for adding attachments into your wreath. And so if you can see here, there's actually holes on all 4 sides around this bracket, allowing you to run your pipe cleaner or floral wire stem through there to attach it to your wreath. And then the back side's just got some heavy duty sticky tape to adhere to your sign. We're going to use 2, one near the top and one near the bottom. Just give it a good hard push. It doesn't need to be straight. No one's ever going to see it. And then for some extra security, we're going to take our hot glue gun and just run a bead of glue all the way around each of those brackets to give it some extra strength. Now we'll set our sign off to the side to dry, and we'll go ahead and grab our wreath frame to start adding in some deco mesh. So I've chosen a 10-inch roll of deco mesh that's got this really pretty metallic white, red, and pink. It matches our sign really nicely. We'll be using just this roll. And I've also grabbed my 12-inch ruler. And today we're going to use what's called the poof and double curl method. This method, friends, is really great to help reduce fraying. If you're new to working with deco mesh loves to fray, and so anything that we can do as a creator to help reduce that fray is always ideal. At this point, your wreath doesn't have a top or bottom, so you can start at any point here on your wreath frame. We're just going to start on the outer level of pipe cleaners. And I like to roll out 1.5 feet or so of my deco mesh. And the first thing we need to do is anchor it down. And so what I'm going to do is place my thumbs stationary on the mesh and use my other fingers to crawl that mesh back into my hand. So we've got this little tail. And then I'm going to take that tail and tuck that back under into my hand to tuck away that raw edge and help reduce that fray. So coming to any set of pipe cleaners on that lower level, we're going to open up the set of pipe cleaners into a wide V, and then we're going to take our deco mesh tail and place it all the way down to the base at the center of that V, and then give those pipe cleaners 2 or 3 super tight twists and point them outwards again. And what we've done here, friends, is anchor down our mesh. We're going to use 10-inch poofs for the lower level. And so what we're going to do is grab our ruler, place that right on the most recent pipe cleaner that we've used, identify that 10-inch mark, and again, guys, not looking for perfection, no one's going to be measuring. And then at that 10-inch mark, we're just going to scrunch and gather that mesh just like we did earlier and pinch that between our fingers. We'll come to the very next set of lower level pipe cleaners, take that pinch and place it all the way down to the base at the center of the V of those pipe cleaners and give them 2 or 3 tight twists, just like that. And we've just added our first lower level 10-inch poof. Let's do one more together and then we'll speed ahead. So we'll grab our ruler, lay it on the most recent set of pipe cleaners that we've used, identify that 10-inch mark, pinch and gather our mesh to create that poof. We'll come to the very next set of lower level pipe cleaners and open them into a V. And then we'll place that mesh all the way down to the base of that V. And then give those pipe cleaners 2 or 3 tight twists to really secure that poof in. Go ahead and repeat the same process all the way around the lower level of your wreath frame, and then I'll meet you back here. It's time to add our last lower level poof. And so we're going to follow that same method as before, friends. Go ahead and lay that ruler down on your most recent set of pipe cleaners. Identify that 10-inch mark. Scrunch and gather your mesh. And we're going to be adding this last poof right on top of where we anchor down our tail. And so I'm just going to gently untwist those pipe cleaners and then add this poof right on top. And I promise, guys, it's not going to go anywhere. Deco Mesh has a good memory. So as long as you're careful, you can just place that guy right on top of where we started, all the way down to the base. Give those pipe cleaners a couple of tight twists, and we've just added our last lower level poof. And so now we're going to repeat that same process on the upper level. The only difference is that upper level is going to have 8-inch poofs, and we need to jump our mesh from the lower level to the upper level. So identify that first set of pipe cleaners on the upper level that's closest to where we're making the jump. Grab that mesh and pull it tautly in your hand. We're not making a poof. And place it down at the center of the V of that upper level set of pipe cleaners, and give it a couple of tight twists. And point those guys inwards. Let me zoom in here for you, friends. So as you can see, that jump from the lower level to the upper level is only about 1 inch to 1.5 inches, and it's just a taut jump of our mesh. And now we can carry on with adding in our upper level poofs. So we'll lay our ruler down at that first set of upper level pipe cleaners. We'll identify that 8-inch mark. And again, not looking for perfection here, guys. Scrunch and gather that mesh into your hand. Come to that very next set of upper level pipe cleaners. Open them into a wide V and press and place that mesh all the way down to the base of that V. Give those pipe cleaners 2 or 3 tight twists, and you've just added your first upper level poof. Go ahead and repeat that same process all the way around that upper level, adding 8-inch poofs, and I'll meet you back here. It's time to add our last upper level poof. So we're going to take our ruler, place that on top of our most recent set of pipe cleaners, identify that 8-inch mark, scrunch and gather our mesh, and we're going to add this on top of the pipe cleaners where we made the jump. So just spread those pipe cleaners into a wide V, place that mesh right on top, and give it 2 or 3 tight twists. And we've just added our last upper level poof. So now we need to cut off the remaining bit of our mesh. So go ahead and grab your scissors. And here's what I do, guys. I just take my mesh, and I'm going to use my left hand as a guard, and I'm going to lay that between my excess mesh and the neighboring poof. I'm just going to come up about 1.5 inches on that mesh and gently cut it off, leaving about a 1-inch tail, which is totally fine. Nobody's going to see it. And so now we've just finished adding all of our poofs into our wreath base, and it's already looking super cute, nice, light and airy. However, we do need a little bit more coverage. And so we're going to move on to the next set of adding our deco mesh in, which would be curls. So go ahead and set your wreath base off to the side. And we're going to cut the entire remaining bit of our deco mesh roll. I'm going to use my rotary cutter and self-healing mat to cut the remaining roll of our deco mesh. If you're new to wreath making, friends, and you're not familiar with the self-healing mat, they come in a variety of sizes. The one that you see here in the background is 36 inches by 24, and it's got measurements all the way around so that you can use this as your guide for cutting. And then the rotary cutter basically just looks like a mini pizza cutter, and it's going to cut your deco mesh with nice, clean, quick lines and will help to reduce the fray. They're very cost effective, and I'll leave a link for you below in the description of this video if you'd like to add this to your toolkit. So the first thing I'm going to do is just clean up this jaggedy roll of mesh so that we can start with that clean line. And we're going to cut the entire remainder of this roll into 10-inch pieces. And so using your self-healing mat and rotary cutter or your ruler and scissors, go ahead and cut your mesh into 10-inch pieces. Just cut the entire remainder of your roll, and I'll meet you back here. Once you've cut down the remainder of your deco mesh roll, and go ahead and grab your wreath base and bring it back to your work area. Now, depending on the length of the roll of your deco mesh, friends, you're going to have a varying number of leftover pieces. You'll have at least 16, which will allow you to put one curl in every single set of pipe cleaner ties, but go ahead and use all the pieces. So if you had a larger roll, which would allow you to add 2 curls, that's great. If you can only add 1 curl to each set of pipe cleaners, that's fine. If you're going to alternate, doesn't matter. Just go ahead and make sure you use up all those curls. And to make a curl, guys, all you're going to do is grab a piece of deco mesh, lay it in your work area, curl side up, and roll that piece of deco mesh into a cylindrical tube or curl. It's going to be about 1.5 inches in diameter there in the center, and then of course it will flare at the ends. I only have enough mesh to add 1 curl per set of pipe cleaner ties. So what I'm going to do is come to any set of ties, doesn't matter where you start, every single set of ties is going to get at least 1 curl. Take that curl and place it all the way down to the base of that pipe cleaner, and give it 2 or 3 tight twists. And you just added your first curl. Now, if you have enough to add 2 curls to every single set of ties, you'll repeat that same pattern. You're just going to place 1 curl on top of the other, so it makes a loose X. Place that loose X or double set of curls all the way down to the base of your pipe cleaner ties and secure them in. Go ahead and add your curls throughout your entire wreath base, and I'll meet you back here. Now that we've added in our curls, look how much fuller and cute that wreath base is. Okay, it's on to the next step. Now it's time to add our ribbon tails into our wreath. So I'm going to scoot this guy off to the side, and remember we've got 16 pipe cleaner ties on our wreath base, and I've grabbed 4 wired 1.5-inch ribbons that match our sign. We'll be cutting 8 pieces of each ribbon type at 10 inches in length. Let me show you a quick trick. Cutting your ribbon tails quickly. We're just going to identify that 10-inch mark, and as always, friends, no one's looking for perfection here. So find that 10-inch mark and then fold it onto itself the total number of times that you need for your pieces. We'll be folding our ribbon accordion style. Once you've got that total number of pieces folded accordion style at the measurement that you wish, cut off the remaining bits of the ribbon, and then just run your scissors through those folds to separate out those ribbon tails. And then flip that ribbon stack to the other side and do the same thing. Separate your tails out and make them pretty side up here in your stack. And then know the strength of your scissors, friends. Mine can cut out 3 to 4 pieces depending on the thickness of the ribbon. So I'm just going to take 3 pieces, marry up those ends. You can dovetail or angle trim your ends. I'm just going to angle trim, so I'm coming down about 3/4 of an inch and cutting up diagonally to the corner. I'll flip that ribbon stack around to the other end, marry up those ends, and trim off my ends. So I'm going to repeat this process until I have all of my ribbon tails cut, and then I'll meet you back here. Once you've got all of your ribbon tails cut and those ends trimmed, go ahead and grab your wreath base and bring it back to your work area. We're going to add 2 ribbon tails to every single set of pipe cleaners throughout our wreath base. So you're going to match up your ribbons in whatever fashion you choose, and you're going to just lay 1 ribbon on top of the other. Fold it in half to identify that center point, or you can just eyeball it. And then you're going to pinch and pleat in the middle. Fold those ribbon tails into a loose V over your thumb. Come to any set of lower level pipe cleaner ties. Place those 2 ribbon tails all the way down to the base. And Give those pipe cleaners 3 or 4 tight twists. Once you've added those pipe cleaners in, you can go ahead and take your small snips or scissors and trim off those excess bits of pipe cleaner. You won't need them anymore. And then I just take my fingers and kind of curl back that little pipe cleaner nub. And then I just fluff out my tails. And by fluffing out my tails, guys, all I really mean is I pull them away from the center of my wreath, like so. And I'm going to alternate back and forth between my ribbon pairs. So let's move on to the next. Again, you'll take your 2 ribbon tails, lay one on top of the other, identify that center point either by eyeballing it or folding it in half. Give that a good pinch in the middle. Fold that into a loose V over your finger. Come to that very next set of pipe cleaners, open them up into a wide V. Place that set of ribbon tails all the way down to the base. Give those pipe cleaners 2 or 3 tight twists. And then with your small scissors or your snips, trim off those excess bits of pipe cleaners and toss them away. Then you'll just curl that pipe cleaner tail or nub back and out of the way. Fluff out those tails and move on to the next. Go ahead and get all of your ribbon tails added into your wreath frame, and I'll meet you back here. Now that our ribbon tails are fully loaded, look how stinking cute this beauty is turning out to be. So the next step in our process is to add our sign. By now those mounting brackets are nice and dry. I've grabbed 2 20-gauge floral wire stems that we'll be using to anchor this guy down. So I'm just gonna fold the floral wire stems in half, run it through that mounting bracket, give a couple of twists so it doesn't slide out, and then do the same thing on the bottom bracket. And we're going to add this sign right to the center of our wreath. So it's going to be laying just like this. And all we're going to do, one end at a time, is run those floral wire stems right through our mesh. Give yourself some grace, guys. This takes just a minute. We'll flip it to the back. I like to run it around the crossbar, guys. It just helps it to prevent the sliding. So I'm going to give it a couple of loose twists, and then I'll flip it around to make sure I'm still happy with the placement. And I am. Then we'll do the same thing to that lower level. And you want to pull those floral wire stems at about 80% tension. You want it nice and secure, but you don't want to sink that sign in there so deeply that it looks sunken. Once you're happy with that placement, give those floral wire stems 2 or 3 more twists, and then grab your small snips and trim off those excess bits of floral wire. We're going to grab our needle nose pliers and just pinch those floral wire stem ends together and kind of curl them back into the wreath. That way, if someone happens to grab the wreath right there, they're not going to get poked. How stinking cute. So once that sign is added, we're just going to take a minute here to pull out those ribbon tails that got squished or tucked back under while we were adding those stems. And this beauty is finished. Oh my goodness, how stinking cute, and a super cost-effective wreath to make. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. It really helps my little channel to grow. Thanks for spending time with me today, friends. Happy crafting.